The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 787. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap-Chan, and today I have an amazing lady on the show today. She is a writer, and I'm really excited to have her on and share her story with us today on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Xandra Robinson-Burns. Xandra, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Hi, I'm Xandra. I'm a writer and the founder of Heroine Training, my website, where I publish essays and podcasts on being the protagonist of my own story.
Thanks for sharing that. And Xandra, what's your cultural background?
I'm half Korean, and I'm an American living in Scotland.
Thanks for sharing that. And what's your favorite self-confidence quote?
My favorite self-confidence quote is actually a song lyric, "So What? I'm Still a Rock Star" by Pink.
Thanks for sharing that great quote. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
I think it's important to distinguish between confidence and self-confidence. And self-confidence, I believe, is in believing in yourself as you are today, in the moment, celebrating yourself as a work in progress.
Thanks for sharing that great definition. And what was your life like before you discovered self-confidence?
So I've actually been self-confident for as long as I can remember. So I struggled with this question a little bit, but I grew up with the belief that I could do whatever I wanted to do as long as I was willing to commit to it and put in the effort. But what I'm still struggling with today with my self-confidence is with my cultural identity. I'm still getting used to speaking about my experience as a half Asian woman. And part of that is getting past the obligation that I feel to represent the entire country of South Korea and experiences of all mixed race women ever, which sounds like a pretty silly thing to expect of me, but I'm still learning how to talk about it from my personal perspective.
Thanks for sharing that. And, what was that point in your life when you realized you can go out there and be who you are today, especially, sharing your story? I mean, I know a lot of people still are scared of sharing their story because they feel like no one's going to listen to them, or they're shameful, or, some people believe they don't have a story, but I believe everyone has a story to share. But what was that aha moment in your life when you realized you can have the confidence to go out there and be who you are today?
Well, thank you, Sheena, for reiterating that as well, that everyone has a story to share. I always knew that about myself, but I didn't know that this part of my identity counted until I was a teenager, and I realized that I had never had any role models that I looked up to who looked like me. I didn't really consider race as part of my identity until I was in high school, and I was a theater kid all growing up, but in high school in particular, we were doing productions where I was only being considered if there was a stereotypically Asian character in the show. And at that moment, I realized this is going to be considered by other people, even if I'm not seeing it in myself. And so I need to explore it and acknowledge it. And I'm grateful for one summer when I was interning at a Shakespeare company, and we were discussing representation and casting. And I was asked if I would feel more drawn to see a production if a half Korean women were in the cast. I answered yes immediately without having to think about it, but I realized that I had never even considered this as a possibility. So as part of what I do today, I am inspired to share all sides of my story.
Thanks for sharing that. And because of that realization, what's your life been like now?
I am continuing to grow more aware of my cultural identity and feel more purposeful in sharing that side of my story. And I want to set an example as about integrating my cultural identity into the narrative of everything I create, however overtly. So I challenge myself to create art in a way that includes all parts of my identity, being mixed race, being a theater kid, English literature student, someone who experiences depression, being a Gryffindor, being an immigrant. It's all relevant and is all part of the story that I tell.
Thanks for sharing that. And to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey to self-confidence. What would be that one tip you would give to her?
I would say to be confident in yourself as a work in progress, or as I say, a heroine in training. I am self-confident in my abilities and my potential to grow, including growing in my voice to talk about my cultural identity more. I'm confident in my strengths, and I lack confidence in areas that I can improve, but that's a good thing. So if you don't feel confident, identify that area that you're lacking instead of letting that harm your confidence in yourself, and focus on building that area.
Thanks for sharing those great tips. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do and check out some of your work, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Sure, thanks. My website is heroinetraining.com. That's where you can find my writing and my podcasts. The best place to start is with my free audiobook, A Play in 3 Acts, which is available at heroinetraining.com/play. And I also have 2 podcasts, The Art Life, which is about the process of being an artist, and on my podcast with my sister, which is called What's Your Favorite Part?
Thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Xandra, you can also head on over to the taoofselfconfidence.com and search for Xandra's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I really just want to thank Xandra today for taking the time to share her story and tips with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much, Xandra.
Thank you, Sheena.
Not a problem. It was really great having you on the show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com to check out cool resources, blog articles, show recaps, and so much more. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.